Hello, ActiveSage here on the Sage channel, and today we have been blessed with yet another update to Space Engineers, and this is a pretty fantastic update. No, it's not planets. I know many of you want that, but let's be honest, make sure the devs take their time on planets, that way we can have ravines and awesome trees and all sorts of awesome stuff. I know it's going to be updated on as time goes on, but when we first get planets, we want them to be good. That way we don't start building a base and lose it right away. Anyway, moving on to today's update. First thing you'll notice is if you go to New World and click on the bottom button there, what's this? A tutorials button. Just like the scenarios, it brings up this whole thing here. Now, if we were to go ahead and load one of these up, so let's say like so, it'll load in quickly, or maybe not, because I actually did just crossfade to now. But you can see you'll respawn in, and it is basically a tutorial world. It's a special scenario made by the devs to go ahead and teach people how to play the game. If it is your first time loading up Space Engineers, it'll actually prompt you to go ahead and play through one of these. If you're going and running through the tutorial and you find yourself maybe having a good time, but you know, life calls and suddenly you need to go AFK, and you decide, you know what, I'm going to stop playing the game for the time being, well, don't just do an escape and save. You can do that, but some of these are using special scenario setups, so it's advisable to do, you know, of course the save as, or you can just do a save, but advisable, save as, that way you go name it however you like. And let's go ahead and now exit this. You can, of course, save. You'll save to what you just did a save as to. Now, to reload that, you do not just go to load world. See tutorial name here. We could do that, but what you should do is actually go to New World and click on Scenario. And, oh, I got a little error because one of my worlds are corrupt or something. But you'll see right here, tutorial name here. Since it is a scenario, this is how you'll want to reload it, is going and doing it like that. Some of these, who knows, might end up running into an issue where if it's supposed to set you as choosing a spawn point, it might reset. Hopefully not. Yep, this looks like it's one of them. Righty-ho-ho. Yes, you've been accepted to a faction. I am aware of that, friend. Let's just try this one last time to make sure I'm understanding this right. Alrighty, well, I just watched the official dev update video again to make sure I understood that, and this was supposed to work, so yeah, like I said, some of these worlds are set up to, unfortunately, to go ahead and load in with setting you at the spawn point. The world apparently will have saved any progress we made, but unfortunately the only progress we had made was running down this hallway. Anyway, moving on from scenarios and tutorials, I should say, they have also added something else to this update, which is the thing I'm really excited about, which is, and let's go ahead and first look, well, it's vents. It's a special function for vents. But before I actually load that up, I have to remind you that they've also added something new here. We go into the settings of a world. You'll see down at the very bottom left, just like they have right over here, enable block destruction, you can now disable voxel destruction. So if I uncheck that, voxels, aka asteroids, and once planets gets in, theoretically planets, will no longer be able to be damaged. So we've gone ahead and set that up. And now that world would not have that. And I meant to do that to this world, didn't I? God dagnabbit, son of a Don Quixote, you little stinker. There we go. Enable voxel destruction is turned off. So let's go ahead and load into this nice little world here of ours. Once again, fading till the load is complete. There we go. And now that we're in, we'll go ahead and show you the new vent stuff. And to show it off, I have these three random structures in front of me. Now, what the new function for vents is the fact that a vent can actually cause stuff to happen. And a vent is now aware if a room is fully pressurized or fully depressurized. And at either of those states, it can cause something to happen. By the way, this is a little bit of a glitch I found. Is if I set doors up like this, I can go from oxygenated to not oxygenated without having to open and close any of them. Now, you can see here, I have an air vent right here that's pressurizing this room. In fact, it's even helping to pressurize this one. But if I was to, of course, open this door, it's now depressurized this room. And you can see this door right here is closing. And that is because, of course, this vent is detecting that, hey, this room is depressurized. And I can actually go into here, and you'll see at the very bottom, it now has a Setup Actions button. We can click that, and at the very bottom here, you can see the left is fully pressurized, the right is fully depressurized. And you see that we have it set up to close the door if it's or open the door if it's pressurized, and close the door if it is depressurized. It's a little hard to remember that. Pressurized, not pressurized. Just remember that for pressurized on the left, depressurized on the right. Yeah, a little hard to remember. Really wish they had some text above it that would actually say what each of these boxes corresponds to. Either way, as I said, I have it set up to open the door if it's pressurized, close it if the room is suddenly depressurized. And so to demonstrate this once again, I can just go ahead and close this door, and that air vent is still set to pressurize this room. You can see it pressurizing, and once it gets fully pressurized, it opens that door on the right there. In fact, I also have it set that if this room detects a depressurization, it should also, yes indeed, close that door. So it's going to close that up. Of course, I can go ahead and seal it off, and these vents will go ahead and fill themselves back up. There we go. And it'll reopen this door. Now, this vent here actually is not set to continuously open and close the door. It's only set to close it. Even though it says open there, that's just the current state of the door. The little button at the top is what's supposed to be an open and close. A little hard to keep track of that, I find. But we're going to go ahead now and add this to open when the room is pressurized. Now, this is a bit of a problem, you see, because what I'm going to do now is depressurize this area. So now both rooms have depressurized. Of course, both of these have just given the order to close this big group of doors, and it's going to get down to the bottom. Now, this isn't going to repressurize because this room is still open to space. The problem is, that room will, and unfortunately, the second it does, it depressurizes itself. So it's going to actually get in a loop right now where it's going to continue filling that room back up with air, and the second it does, instantly venting it. So you got to be very wary of setting up systems that will automatically go ahead and... There we go. No, stop! You also got to be wary of that, where systems are automatically going to keep trying to do things. No, open. Stay open. There we go. So it's not going to keep giving the order once it's already given it once. So you got to be wary of that. Systems that are going to go ahead and continuously give an order to open something, because the area that it's connected to might also be depressurized. And of course, that glitch is still here. God almighty, forgive my rage. That glitch is where if you're looking at one of these, when it's triggered, just like a timer block, if you're looking at a timer block when it's triggered, it'll actually go ahead and clear what's down there at the bottom. So it's just completely murdered its own programming, basically. We can set this so if everything's depressurized, it will close the door. Of course, right now it's open, isn't it? Yes. So we can go ahead and close this door. And it should fix both of them. Yeah. Urgh. Okay, so there's that very simple, well, in theory. By the way, this is just a small complex set up to power the air and everything. Moving on from that, we do have a slightly more advanced version of an airlock here. This one's actually very simple. You can go ahead and press the depressurization button right there. And once it's fully depressurized, we have it set up to open the exterior door. And now what we can do is come inside, close this door, and then pressurize it. Of course, I didn't have a button panel in here because I didn't really have room. But what I can do is just tell it to pressurize the room. And once it's fully pressurized, it stops working. I accidentally set both of these to... No, this is the right thing. Well, that should have worked. So clearly we have some finickiness going on. So let's tell this to depressurize. Fully depressurized and... Okay, yeah. So doing it that way apparently doesn't work, actually, from its control panel. From the actual K control panel screen, like this one here. Can't actually do that, apparently. You have to use a button. But yeah, you can see once it's fully pressurized, it's supposed to open that door. No idea on Earth why that's not working. Let's just go ahead and tell it depressurize again. So it's going to suck all the air out. Once it's fully depressurized, it's set so that... Okay, well, I did testing on this a few minutes ago, and it worked. And as you saw, the door worked once, so wonderful failure there. Brilliant. And of course, the danger there is also, too, it did see that the room was depressurized. Oh, whatever. Okay, let's go ahead and get ourselves out here and go back to another structure that is working, because I tested it far more thoroughly than that glitchy thing, is this here. And basically this is just to show all the stuff you can set up, because this actually has timer blocks in there. So instead of it just directly going ahead and doing one function, like sealing one group off, what the vents in here will be doing is actually going ahead and setting off timers. That'll be doing a whole lot of stuff. So if I was to go ahead and depressurize this whole hallway right here, yeah, so it's set up to do a whole bunch of stuff. And these are actually room specific. And any second now, once the room finishes pressurizing, it'll go back to, of course, normal, as it has. And why did it go back to normal? Because I also have it set to close all these doors. So in theory, if we get a breach through a wall, it's still going to close those doors and it's not going to do much good, but at least it tried. But if somebody does leave both doors open, like an imbecile, it'll automatically try to fix their problem and lock down the whole place. Now, What it's also done is doesn't open these doors up, because of course, if it opened the doors back up, we might end up with the same issue we had in that original hallway. So we end up with this nice big facility. You do have to go back through and open all the doors yourself, but it works out pretty well. Now, what would happen, let's say, if we did have a proper wall breach like that? Well, of course, it's gone ahead and depressurized all 3 of these rooms, but the main doors are closing. That one actually closed first, oddly enough. And there we go. And then 2 of these 3 rooms will repressurize. There we go. I heard one click. Uh-oh. There we go. That took a second. So now 2 of these 3 rooms are... Wow, that was odd. Why did that just happen? 2 of these 3 rooms are pressurized. Now, we are still hearing a sound here. And I believe that's a bit odd because I do have separate speakers for each of these rooms. But you can see that this room right here, and I'm using Spectator, is still indeed on its emergency standing. Overall, it's pretty impressive. And of course, we can go ahead and patch this up, and this room will go ahead and, once it repressurizes, shut off that final alarm. Whew! Alrighty, well, that's it for this update. It seems kind of simple when I run through it that quick, but I love these vent things. This is incredible. I'm not much of a programmer sort of person. I know people using the Why does it do that? The rooms are both fully pressurized. I know that people who have programming skills can use these programming blocks to do stuff like that for a while, but I do like the feature being built into the block itself, and allows us to do all sorts of amazing things like this. And, of course, even having, strangely enough, you could use that, where it automatically depressurizes itself if that block is set up wrong, quote-unquote, to having a room that's going to spew air out every now and again on a timer, basically. Pretty cool stuff, without even using a timer, that is. Yeah. Anyway, guys, that's it for this update. Thank you a bunch for watching. Hope you found this informative and somewhat entertaining. I think this is probably one of the coolest updates we've had in a while. The Earth stuff that they gave us, the materials, was pretty cool, but this is really awesome, and I'm going to be integrating this into probably all my ships that I can. It's really damn cool. Anyways, that's it. Thanks a bunch for watching, and I shall see you guys next time. Ta-ta. Oh god, scary alarm sounds.